to this computer. All right, here we go. So if I were to sum up everything that we're going to share tonight, or just boil it down into a thesis statement, it would be something like this. Your lifestyle has more to do with your bone density than anything else. Even if you've already been diagnosed with osteoporosis, osteopenia, whatever. And that literally flies in the face of popular medicine these days, frankly, because although it is true that there are certain populations that are more genetically predisposed to osteoporosis than others. Veronica already mentioned, I have good, strong, thick bones, so I don't fall into that category of people that are prone to osteoporosis, and that's probably true. So they say that aging white and Asian women that are very slender and have these skinny little bones are the ones that need to be monitored very closely because they're the ones that are most predisposed to osteoporosis. But for the vast majority of Americans who develop the condition, the root cause isn't genetic at all. It's actually chronic, often silent inflammation. So, and inflammation actually sets the stage for a huge variety of what we call inflammatory diseases. In the case of osteoporosis, though, how that shows up is that the body simply begins breaking down old bone faster than it can rebuild new bone. And a lot of the medicines that are out there, they simply rebuild new bone. And that's why sometimes you end up with calcium going to all the wrong places and you're still breaking down the old bone too. So just taking the medicine often isn't the best way to go. So I really applaud Terry for being curious about um, nutritional interventions or things that she can do physically that might keep all this at bay. Um, so if you think I'm talking smack here, I just want to show you a slide. Now, I just want you to consider all of the primary causes of osteoporosis that most doctors just actually don't even know about. Let me throw that slide up on the wall here. And I'm going to share my screen. Here we go.
I'll be right back.
Okay, no problem. Let's see if it shares. Good, there it is. All right, so you don't need to worry about reading all the little type. I'm going to send this out in the follow-up packet. But it just shows, where they do the DEXA scan and what a healthy bone looks like and what an unhealthy bone looks like. But what I really want to call your attention to is this list right here. Let me see if I can increase its size. Yep, there we go. Let me just move it over here. Can you see this list? Yeah. So
Yeah,
most doctors don't even know the leading cause of osteoporosis is smoking,
that's
alcohol
crazy,
consumption.
really.
I know, really. And here's the thing that drives me nuts. This is why I know for a fact that in decreasing your systemic inflammation is going to decrease the likelihood you're going to get osteoporosis. The third leading cause of osteoporosis is prolonged use of PPIs, and that's a fancy way of saying protein pump inhibitors, and that's Prilosec and a little purple pill, and all of those acid reflux medications. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, my
Uh,
sisters both have acid reflux. That's interesting. And they both have
yeah,
osteopenia.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. Those little medications were never meant to be taken long term, and people are on them for years and years and years, and then one day they wake up with
Oh,
broken
years.
bones. It's just crazy. But also diabetes can figure into the mix, thyroid conditions, kidney problems, celiac, rheumatoid arthritis, even dementia. So, all these things can play in. So I'm going to stop the share here. So obviously that has nothing to do with genetics, right? It's all about your lifestyle. So all that being said, really all that really matters when you're attempting to either improve the density of your bones or keep osteoporosis at bay is you simply have to improve the way you move, You simply have to improve the way you eat, and you simply need to improve the way you relax. And I'm definitely going to talk about Tai Chi Chuan because I'm a Tai Chi Chuan geek. Uh, but there's a lot of rock hard science why Tai Chi Chuan is a really good choice when you're dealing with brittle bones or you're concerned about them becoming brittle. So at this portion, what I'd like to do is turn uh, the floor over to Jen. Now, Jen and I got to know each other, like I said, 20 plus years ago. We were both wellness coaches, we were both personal trainers, but Jen is also a group fitness instructor, and I got to tell you, she is really great at it. And there's two kinds of fitness instructors in the world. There's people that are really good at working one-on-one, and that would be me and Jen. But there's people who are really good at working with groups, and that's definitely Jen and not me. But on top of that, during COVID, what she also discovered about herself is she is just really good at teaching people virtually. So when we decided to reboot this workshop, I thought this is just a perfect way to shine a spotlight on how good she is. So I'm literally going to spotlight her and turn the floor over to her, and she's going to talk a little bit about fitness and she's going to show you some stuff. And if you want to move with her, go for it. Okay. So, Jen, take it away, babe.
All right. Well, thank you, Jessica, for letting me come on here. It's nice to meet you guys. I'm happy to be here. This is what I love to do, and I do love the virtual. It didn't start out like I did, like nobody did, but I found that throughout my 20 plus years of in-person training, personal training, and group exercise classes, that people, including myself, were actually getting better results because the reality of the matter is simply the fact that it takes time to get to a gym. It takes time to come home from a gym. Not everybody's schedules line up and then you miss the class. So, over the course of time, it transformed into just a great way to have help people get the results that they're looking for. And so, I help you to manage that into your calendar in a way that's realistic. Everything I do is in minis, like just anywhere from 5 minutes, 10 minutes. So it's doable. I can work with you based on what you have. I'm able to make accommodations because not everything works for everyone, but I feel good to know that I can help you for where you're at. So for those reasons, I really like what I do. And I have, all kinds of things I can send you if you're interested. I have a whole 90-day transformation program that specifically, really, my intention is to help people be able to get down to the floor because people stop going down to the floor because they cannot get back up off of the floor. So it's kind of built around that real functional way of training, and everybody's just been successful with it. So I just want to keep going with it. So I just want to throw that out there to you so you know that beyond this training, there are other options, and I guarantee the results. So it's just nice to know you have other options. Virtual is something that a lot of people would just like snub or look away from. But I'm here to say that give it a chance because you get to be with me for 90 days. So that's a little bit about me. I specialize in the mobility for functional living. So functional training, it's primarily just body weight. All you really need is space, and like the phone easily hooks up to the TV, like very simply. And then you just follow what I do in an instructional way, which you'll see tonight. And then like, depending on what type of package you would want, it would be me then giving you personalized guidelines for where you're at and where you want to go. That's kind of that summed up in what I do. So as far as tonight goes, I'll lead the movement piece and you guys can either watch it or just like take notes on it, maybe do it later. That's the advantage of virtual because if you're in your jammies now and you're on the couch, you know that you can still do it at a time that works better for you. So you'll have that, so you don't have to feel pressure to try it or do it, but you'll get a sense of what it's all about. And so to sum everything up, in one big sentence here, it'd be like strong bones, they need smart movement. Okay. And, strength builds the bone. Mobility protects the bone. So you have to know, you have to have both, right? And they're partners. Strength and mobility are partners. They're not opposites. So, like tonight, I just figured I'd talk a little bit about the science part of it, not too long, simple, accurate stuff, and how your mobility flow supports osteoporosis, the one that we're going to do here tonight. And like, just so you can understand the purpose of the mobility flow and the objectives that we're trying to achieve here tonight. So I'm just going to kind of do a little bit of talking, not too much talking, but like one, how mobility and functional movement can support osteoporosis. Well, first, as you know, osteoporosis is loss of bone density, and you have that increased fracture risk, especially in your spine and your hips and your wrists. Okay, so it's not just weak bones. It's just we have to learn how to work with this, and that's where the modifications come in. The functional movement, how it will like how it helps the bone. Bones respond to that load that you put on it and direction of force. Okay, so it's not just heavy weights that everybody equates it to, but it's the ability to shift your own body weight in and out of positional changes, transition that body weight in a safe way. Okay, the ability to control the impact there too, and like the rotation that's involved with your spine and your shoulders and your hips, that pivoting motion. All the basic moves, just like the last one that we Jessica and I had co-taught together, just all the basic moves, pushing, pulling, hinging, squatting, carrying things. Okay, so functional movement, it applies that gentle, safe stress, but like for those reasons in the mobility kind of way that I just went over, like it's safe, multiple directions at the same time. A lot of people can't do that, and they can be at the gym all the time, and a lot of people can't do this kind of stuff because they skip over it like it's not important because it's just body weight, I guess. I don't know why they do, but it just signals your body when you train this kind of way. And we need this bone and we need to keep it strong. So that's what tonight is about. And also, mobility helps indirectly, but very powerfully. So, mobility, it doesn't build bone directly, but it improves your joint alignment. Okay. If you think about that, also, it improves like that force distribution through your body here, this mobility way of training. And being that it's body weight and we practice it, rehearse it, it does reduce the risk of fall. If you do fall, you're more resilient, the ability to bounce back easier, faster from a fall. That's sort of what the mobility training is versus like getting on a machine and lifting weights and stuff like that. And overall, it's just gonna boost your confidence level. So you're not quite afraid to like do that one thing or go that one place anymore. Like I said in the beginning, like a lot of people, they just don't go to the floor out of just the simple fear that they're not going to get back up off of the floor. It's as simple as that, and so like falls are the number one cause of fractures in osteoporosis, so just like Jessica said, if there's ways that we can kind of train, we have control over that. Like the other things we don't have control over, but if this is making sense to you and you like what you're hearing and then you're finding it kind of works, like in the way you feel, that's something you have control over. So you need to act on that and find ways, I mean, not to say not take your medicine. Oh, you definitely do what the doctor tells you to do. I'm not denying that. I'm just saying, you can improve your lifestyle simply through movement. I always said movement is medicine, not just for your body, but your mind too. And so the mobility, it protects the bones, by improving your balance, really it does. And then those transitionals, such as how to get from seat to stand, stand to seat, seat to floor, floor to kneel, kneel to stand. those kinds of transitions, functional every day. You want to have the ability to continue doing that. So it only makes sense to only train in that kind of way. And also, just like I just put out like a little clip saying something like you can be would like what's the use of being so strong when your body can't move? So like all the bodybuilders and everybody that's like working out for the sake of like just looking so good and six pack abs and all these big muscles. But what's the sense of all of that unless that means more to them, then that's they can have that. But for me, it's the ability to move and to continue to long term. Now, we can't prevent the aging process, but we can delay it. And I really think that this is how we can delay it. So, big message, the strength builds the bones, mobility protects your bones. Okay, so I just really I like saying that. It makes me feel good. Um, Objectives. I just want to go over some of the objectives here. You're not going to get this all in one night, one shot, but there's opportunities. You can continue a program like this. I have these offerings for you, but you will gain from tonight just by simply this. And some of the objectives would be to control of your body through space, through the range of motion. Okay. Moving with slow transitions, mindfulness to your movement, bringing that back so you engage the right muscles. Often people, that's how they're ripping out a hamstring or just, they're doing things way too fast. And you're not mindfully thinking about it. You're not going slow. Your brain's not there before the body. And then the body moves faster than the brain can pick up and you strain something. So also just that weight shift, that's important. And that's, you will get that here tonight. Your posture. In my free group, I just did a whole thing it was a 5 minute thing right before I met Jessica on Zoom. And it was just all about simple things. So simple, but we need reminders how the posture really affects a lot of things. And so like just gentle rotation through your spine is what we'll do tonight. And hip stability, obviously, that's important. Foot ankle awareness, these things matter, but they're skipped over a lot of times in the fitness world. But it's really important. And, why not really just apply it to a workshop that's focused specifically for osteoporosis? So it's all about fracture prevention. That's what we want to do. You want to be able to get up and down, like I said, safely, rotate, and twist around without collapsing. And, like I said, the ability to catch yourself if you start to lose balance. And then, the ability to transfer force safely through your spine, if that makes sense. Um, your bones don't just break because they're weak. They break because the body can't really absorb force that well, you know. And so that's where the functional training and the mobility comes in. So, do you guys have any questions yet or anything like that? Okay.
I, I
Mhm.
did have one question. I'm sorry. I'm dealing with the hip thing, and the biggest thing I can no longer do, and I used to do yoga and all of this just up until a couple of years ago. I'm terrified of getting down on the floor now because I don't think I can get back up. So some of these exercises, well, that's going to help, even though my hip is still kind of jacked up. I mean, there's there a way to help me kind of
Yes.
get to that point?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm going to
Okay,
show
great.
you tonight. Like you'll see, and we'll test it out. We'll run a test and we can see for ourselves. And then you can provide your feedback based on your feedback. That's when I tweak things around a little bit. And then
Mhm.
like that's why it's tonight you will definitely you will walk away with value, walk away with information, you'll
Yeah.
walk away with something that you can take home and apply and utilize. And that's why I chose to do the flow that way I chose to do. But just understand that it's just like anything else. So it's a progressive
Oh,
plan.
yeah.
The ideal thing is the building upon building based on where you are and what you're feeling. Okay, because we don't want to induce any kind of injury here either. So it's very one-on-one and worked through. But I think tonight we'll test it out. I think what I have in mind will work for you based on what you just
Like I
said.
said, it's just interesting because I do go to the gym and I like what you said because it's always, I've been a gym rat for years. So it's strength, strength, strength. But you know what I mean? I've got the urban poles. I don't know if you've ever heard of those where you do the pole work and you try to like work on your gait. I'm just trying to get my balance back. So I love hearing
Yeah,
this. This is kind of cool because I'm
exactly.
strong, but
Right.
I'm not, I'm
I hear
not,
you. I definitely hear you. And that's why it's just like people just don't even understand the idea of just that transitional thing. Like, I mean,
yeah,
I could do it all day long, but still I have to stop and like realign, brace
yeah,
my abs really tightly just to do a
yep.
line. Okay. So like, people are loading up the weight real fast and, I just don't know how safe that is. And, everybody's coming into PT. I work with the PT company and I do their mobility program is what I do.
Okay,
So,
great.
And
and
also
before,
the other thing that happens when we age is that like your connective tissue doesn't gain strength anywhere near as fast as your muscles. So your muscles can be really strong, but your tendons and your ligaments might be having
Yeah.
trouble keeping up with that. And if it's not all in sync, then you're
Okay.
still going to have some real
so,
instability. Yeah.
so I really, I just remembered this too. I lead the mobility program there where I do a stretch. I put you on the table. This is good for every single person. Highly recommended because I set you up to succeed. I do the stretching on you and get you to your fullest range of motion for what you're capable of then. Then it's up to you. And then I give you things to do to keep and maintain that range of motion around your joints. So this is really it's all about the fascial nets. So that's like
Yep.
everything. Everything is connected. So it's not just stretching a muscle group. They're all wrapped in. Everything's wrapped in a netting system, such as like
Yep.
pantyhose, if you think of it like that, and it
Yep.
just
Yep.
encapsulates everything. So we're getting into joint capsule release. Okay, we're getting into
Okay.
all kinds of things, and I offer a 25-minute free stretch. Rocky Run, why? Well, you guys aren't around here. That's the only thing. Hands on, you have to be around here. That's the only thing. But
They
in the
have to do
program,
that.
but in the program, I teach you that PNF technique to do. So keep that in
Right.
mind as well. It's very, very good because the stretching component and what Jessica just mentioned with the connective tissue, that's a real thing.
Yeah.
So, tonight, key point, we're not stretching aggressively here. Okay. We're training our bodies to move with control through space. Okay. And it teaches the joints how to align, stabilize, transfer force, safely into the bones. Okay. So all this stuff is going to help you. And when we train in this way, helping you to stepping off of a curb. Okay,
Yep.
catching yourself from a trip up, down off the floor, everything that I keep saying, but it really should be, very, very reinforced. One thing is rotation is especially important because many spinal fractures, let me just see here, they happen, when the weight is too much or you're doing rotation. So we're going to teach you how to rotate with control, not tension. And we don't want to fall. So balance isn't just about strength, it's about mobility, awareness, reaction time. These things matter. Okay, I think we should get started because I'm trying to look at the time here and I don't want to overdo it with talking too much.
Yeah. Do you
Just
think we can do it
remember,
in 15 minutes? Do you think
yeah,
we can do
sure. No aggressive stretching. Okay. No aggressive spinal flexion under load. No fast twisting. No bouncing at the end of the ranges. We're not doing anything like that. It's just going to be all slow, controlled, intentional. And it's just not about going to extreme range. It's about safe, strong range. Okay. And I think we should just start. Okay. So, you guys have seen, I'm just going to start here. And I do this for the people in my group. And this is where I start you out, okay? Because even if you can get to the floor and you can get back up, no problem, you're still going to be stretching and moving in a flowing way on an incline with support and assistance. So this isn't the best thing because it's a swivel, okay? So right now I'm already going to be testing out my balance, not the best. But you would have something like a countertop, a table, a chair, just something. Okay. So what I'm going to do is just come down here and put my forearms right here. I'm just going to flatten out my back, squeezing my shoulder blades together. And then I'm just going to take my hips side to side. And as I do that, I'm just looking over my shoulders one at a time. Now, all your upper body weight is resting on your forearms. It's a great thing, and it gets it out of the back, okay? So legs are straight, and I'm just swaying my hips side to side. It feels so good. I love it. Okay, and now my feet are together, totally supported. And now I'm just bending one knee at a time, shifting the weight side to side. Both heels are on the floor. That's going to be your key. Both heels on the floor. And again, you can look back if you want to incorporate a little bit more movement there. You can look back, no problem. Okay, so we're going to transition from here now. And what I'd like you to do is I'll just start. This would probably be the more complicated one, but it'll be okay. So if I'm down on my elbows here, that gives me better leverage for when I lift up one leg. And you can grab hold of something if you're bad with the balance right now. I sort of try to turn so that my hip sort of faces that side wall and I bend my knee at the same time. So just a lifting of the leg, kind of rotating through your spine, little bit, not that much, but you'll get a little bit of a stretch through the front part of your leg. So I'm just doing this a couple times just to sort of warm up the pathway here. I can feel a stretch in the front of my leg, but really the idea is kind of if you get a little bit of that rotation here in the standing leg. So it's the ball and socket of the standing leg that I'm doing this. This is actually pivoting through. And then this top leg is getting this stretch right there. Okay, so we do that. And now I'm going to take that foot lower to the floor and line it up with the front foot. Now take a step closer to whether it's the chair or your counter or whatever it is. And I'm just going to look down to see that my feet are lined up. Okay, the back one is behind the front one, and the back one is slightly turned out. And just when I'm here, I'm simply doing the same thing, a little bit of movement, just a little bit of movement here. So the front leg is bent, the back leg is turned out. And from here, now I'm going to twist toward the front leg that's bent. So hold on to something, and you're just trying to just sort of reach kind of toward the sky. You may not go far, but that's okay. And then you come back down again, little bit, slow rotation here through your spine, getting your shoulder to sort of open up, chest, feeling the stretch there. Try to relax your neck and your shoulders as you move through. So you have to prepare your body here. So we're going to go through these movements now. That's great. Okay, so now we got our rotation coming through. So now we're going to move onward. So reset. Your arms are down, always coming back to the starting point for a reset. This is the mindfulness of the front leg. It must stay engaged and it must stay bent. That's the only way the muscles are going to stay engaged. This is where the balance is going to come in, and it may not look like a lot, but you might be surprised. Okay, so first coming up to straight arms here. So the legs stay put. The front leg is bent. Awareness. The back leg is straight. Your foot is turned out back there, so it gives you more balance. In other words, if you had your in a lunge stance here, this is going to be much harder to balance. But I'm going to start right here with that back foot turned out. It's going to give you a little bit more base. From here, we're lifting up this spine. Get this all out of your neck and shoulders by just doing some simple, twisting here at your neck. And from here is your balance. So you got to keep your front leg bent, engage those muscles, and simply just come back. Support your spine, open up your chest, and then just come back down. And again, balancing up and down, just like so. Here's your hinging motion. That front leg has to stay bent. People come out of it all the time, but we have to learn how to engage the right muscle group here. And it just comes with a little bit of practice and time. So we're just doing our hinging here, no problem. We got this. And then you can always just come up if you want to get that stretch in and open up your chest, drop your shoulders down, get rid of the neck tension. There we go. Now we're coming back into this. And what I'm going to tell you to do is step your feet together. You may have to readjust them somewhat, but they're fairly close to your countertop or the chair. And you may have to readjust. Now I'm going into a downward dog on an incline. What does that mean? I'm pushing my hips back as my head drops. My ears come between my biceps. And then when I'm here, my spine is still lifted. In other words, it's not rounded. I'm anchored to that counter or to the chair, table, whatever you have. Upper body is anchored. I'm thinking about drawing my hips to the back wall and bending one knee at a time while both heels are on the floor. Keeping that movement right there. Very good. And then you're just going to come up, like shifting forwards. Now I'm kind of like in a table. And then you're coming up to a stand. Sweep the air up. We're going to do this on the other side. And then I'll show you how you can mix things up. Okay, so now we're back to realignment. Always coming back to center, neutral spine, shoulders down and back. Inhale up, exhale, and bring it down right where you started. Step the other leg forward, okay? And then you're going to go ahead and lift up the back leg on the other side, trying to sort of turn to the side wall if you can, and then lower the leg. Again, lift, bend, and then place it back down. Just preparing the pathway here. Okay, good. Now we got to line up the feet. Awareness comes in. Step that foot closer to your base. This is when you bend that leg, and then we're twisting toward that leg. So it might be small, and then as you get used to doing it, I give you your assignment. Maybe do it 3 times a week. Maybe do it every day. Whatever your assignment would be. You get to see the increase in your range of motion here. And then we're just twisting up. All right. And then we come down. Okay. Now from there, come up to your hands or arms are straight here. This leg is bent. It stays bent. This is a balancing. Coming back up and down. Just preparing the pathway. Very good. And we come down. All right, step your feet together. And then let's just adjust them. You might have to scooch them back just a little bit so you can come back into your downward dog here. Downward dog, meaning your spine is lifted even though you're hinged over. Your hips are tilted to the back wall. And you just create a little movement here at your knees by keeping both heels on the floor. Just a little bit of movement, some that you might not normally get. But this feels great. This feels great. And then you're lifting up through your spine here. Coming up to all fours. Balancing lift. I always bring the shoulders dramatically back every time I come up to a stand because I want to realign, okay? And the fact of the matter is, we're usually like this, in this position, on a computer, on a phone, or just slouched over in a chair because we're way too comfortable. But this is part of the corrective exercise program that I do, and then we just constantly remove the stress and tension from your upper body, which it all lands right here. So that's good. So that's your demonstration of that, and which you can refer back to. And then what happens is, then you say, okay, there's 3 parts to this. Now I got it. Okay, so I'm going to think of it like this. when my feet are in this sort of warrior stance here, I'm going to be twisting toward the front leg. Okay. I'm going to be lifting the back leg at one point in time, and then I'm going to be hinging back up. So 3 parts on each side. And then you sort of start to flow through them much easier. Okay. And then what happens is we take it lower. So this is no longer a stool or a counter. It comes down to be lower, like the back of your couch. Then it'll come down to like the cushion of your couch, lower. And then it'll come down to like, the stool, lower. And then it'll come down to the floor. And before you know it, you can kind of do these things. That's what I'm saying. It's a little explanation of what I had said earlier, showing you how this will progress. But for even if you have no trouble at all getting up and down off of the floor, to do this is good for anyone because you're going to get the benefits of all that just transfer of movement and range and plane of motion, okay, and working on multi-planar movements, important thing. So osteoporosis, what do they say? Impact, like impact is good, right? So people have seen a burpee. Not everybody can do a burpee. People are having trouble just even like getting even near close to the floor, let alone do a burpee. If you don't know what a burpee is, I can show you real quick. I don't know if you're going to want to do it with me. It's really not a lot of fun. It's a lot of exertion, but it's good. It's still good, but it would be a jump up, come down, jump back, lower, up. Here we go. Jump, jump. That's a burpee. Nobody feels like doing that, but you may be able to do that very soon if you train in that kind of way. So this is what I show people who come to my class. Starting up here. And this may be good for the osteoporosis with the fact that you do need a little bit of, impactful movements on your joint without hurting your joints. I don't even like to use that word. But basically, if you have a base right here, first of all, you're going to keep your knees soft. This is what it means. So starting position is soft knees here. I'm just going to give myself a little springy action. You practice that. And it's just a little jump back. And then you got to sit back into it to create that little float up. And then you don't have to jump up, but you might maybe start here. Like some people start here up to their tippy toes. But then you may get some air underneath of the feet as you swing the arms like that, okay? So, I mean, this would be something in real life that you may want to try. And guess what? If you don't really like the look of it or the feel of that, then it goes like this. Come back 1 foot at a time, come up 1 foot at a time, and just come up to your tippy toes. Do it again. Come back, come up, there, other side. And we're just alternating. Before you know it, your heart rate gets up. You feel like you have some cardio and you are, doing that movement that is good to strengthen your bones. And, before you know it, you're building into that. So I think that's really cool. So there's 2 things. Another thing I want to show you is, like without you, if you don't want to get on the floor right now, you don't have to. But if you are on the floor, say you get up in the morning or you want to get out of bed, I'll show you something for that. Okay, so say I'm here.
Jen, we just lost you. Can you lower your camera down?
Oh yeah.
Completely off screen.
Yeah, you have to tell me if you can't see. I'm so sorry if you can't see.
No, that's okay. It's just this one time because you're down on the
Oh,
floor.
hi. My son just got him. I'm in the middle of teaching the osteoporosis. So, if you're laying here in the bed, can you see me now? Jess?
Yes, we can see you. Yes.
Okay. So if you're laying in the bed and you want to get up, um, you could just simply bend, roll onto your side, roll onto your belly. And then if you can come up to your elbows, that would be good. And then I scooch my elbows back toward my ribs. I lift my hips. And then I kind of crawl my knees toward my elbows. And by now, I'm back and I just sit my weight into my hips here into a child's pose. And then from here, I'm going to slide my hands underneath my shoulders to get up to all fours. Okay, from here, you could probably swing your leg off of the bed. But if you are on the floor, I love this one. If you are on the floor, it's much easier and you just practice this. Like at home, this would be something you could practice with like a couch next to you and maybe an ottoman over here because you want to catch yourself because not everybody has this balance and you do lose your balance. So you got to set yourself up with safety in the meantime. So, you're not going to do it out on the concrete with nothing around. You're going to be with the carpet. You got your, maybe some pillows around you, but it'd be worth practicing. So now you're on all fours. So now I'm going to dig my toes into the floor and then lift up my knees only for a second because it is heavy. And as I do that, I'm just doing this little shifting of the weight to get my feet wider. I got to get my feet wider. Okay. And now I'm here. My feet are nice and wide, toes are pointed out. And I just little inch by inch come back to here. This is the part where people, when I show them in the gym, they go real fast and then they almost fall over backwards because they're rushing it. They're doing everything that we told you not to do in the beginning. So if you come back to here and then you take your forearm and you put it on your thigh and use your arm to help lift up the other part of the body weight, put the other forearm on the thigh here. Mindfulness, you now need to squeeze your shoulder blades together. In other words, you don't want your head hanging and you don't want your spine rounded. So your spine is lifted. Now, one hand goes on the thigh, not the knee. The other hand goes on the thigh, not the knee. So now you straighten out your arms. And then you squeeze your shoulder blades. In other words, your head is not hanging down and you're not rounded. You squeeze your shoulder blades. And then you mindfully think about squeezing your glutes. And as you do that, it pushes your hips forward and you come up and your spine has been protected the whole time. Your spine, there was no movement in your spine. You already aligned it before you added the movement. That's safety. Now you simply step your feet together and realign, bringing your shoulders down and back because people are tense right there. They always come out of it very tense. And what happens? Shoulders are up to your ears. No good. Always coming back to this. In fact, one shoulder at a time, rolling back, easy rotation in your spine. Head goes side to side, drop and roll, come back to the center,
Can you
and you're back to
raise
line.
your camera up a little bit, Jen? We've lost your head.
Okay. And you're back to alignment. Okay. So you're gonna have this on record.
Yeah.
And if you like it and you want to practice it, you can. All right. But I'm
That's
hoping that I was able to apply that knowledge to the movement piece. And that to me would be a good starting point for you guys. Those little things right there.
That was great, Jen. That was great. And the other thing she began to touch upon, ladies, was there are certain movements that qualify as both strength and impact. She gave a little bit of a jumping technique there, but and that's another valuable aspect of osteoporosis protection is you want just a little bit of impact in your life on a regular basis. The American College of Sports Medicine recommends we get somewhere between 20 and 60 minutes, 3 or more days a week of any kind of impact, and even walking counts. So if you don't want to do any hopping or do that combination strength and impact thing she was showing you, which is great, even just walking counts. So between the pounding on the bones and the pulling on the bones that you're doing with any of these strength and conditioning moves she showed you, you are totally protected physically. What was that line you said, Jen? That strength builds your bones and mobility protects it. Is that what it was?
Yeah.
It's great. It's great. It's great.
Yeah, so it's just really moving in a multi-planner way, okay, doing it regularly. That's the mobility piece of it. So you need the strength to build it, to help with the bone strength and all that stuff. But like I said, what good's all the strength when your joints are so locked up and you really can't move freely. When that happens, you know, the muscle sort of gets the like scar adhesion, sort of like glues together kind of. And unless you're doing something regularly like myofascial release, or if you get a stretch with me, or you learn different stretching techniques, then you enable that. That's that's a great thing because it'll keep your joints, with the ability to move through the range of motion.
Mhm.
So it can't just be strength and no range of motion because then that's not movement really, or it's choppy movement. And that's the kind of thing that leads to imbalance when one muscle group is too tight. So hoping it makes sense.
So,
It absolutely made sense. I don't, the only thing that happens, I love those movements we were doing. My leg, the hip that's weird. When that was the bound, I guess I should say the strong leg or whatever, when it was the forward, I had trouble using the other leg. And I'm wondering, working with you or working through this kind of work, would that eventually get that leg to actually have a little bit more range of motion where it can actually support? Because when this left leg was down, I'm like, yeah, I love this. And then when the right leg was like forward, I'm like, okie dokie. Where I was like barely able to lift my leg, the other leg.
Yes,
I'm like, because that right leg was just like, no, I don't think so. And there's
exactly.
also a little bit of a mental thing, but I know. And could this also complement, like I go to the gym like 3 days a week. Would you say you could do a complimentary thing where you could still do the
Definitely, yeah.
exercise?
So because it's all virtual, it's the kind of thing where you take it to the gym with you. At least you know exactly what to do in a safe way. Like you're not just pulling things off of YouTube and seeing some other person doing something, trying it out. You have the ability to do it in the gym or at your home. But to answer your question with that, yeah, definitely so. You will have hope to know that. My personal belief, and maybe other people don't believe it, and that's okay. But I do believe that there is a way to get things fixed and to get things
Yes,
better. And I know,
yes,
like, just based on the knowledge that I have, I know how to do that. You know what I
yep,
mean?
yeah,
So it's
absolutely.
not it's not as complicated as what it may be, and it's never like a lot of people say, never, I'll never be able to do that again. Doctor will tell you can't do that anymore.
Right,
Like
right.
I don't believe that's true,
Me either.
and
I
I will
don't either.
I'll go against them every time. So I would say yes to your question.
yeah.
Okay, thank you.
And since Jen can't stay with us for the whole night, Terry or Veronica, do you have any more questions for her at all?
Terry's still muted.
Tara, you're muted. Yeah. Here, I'll remove the spotlight.
In my studio where I am, my chair rotates and I don't have much space.
Yeah. My
So,
chair was way too low. I
yeah, I
realized I had to
couldn't.
have it the back.
So I'll have to try that out in the living room.
Yeah.
That's where I try the getting up and down off the floor, which I haven't done in a while. I've been avoiding it and I need to
Mhm.
try it. And
But just do it
I
in a
wrote
safe
down your
way.
instructions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
I saw a thing on the internet that I liked and I tried out where, well, you start sitting up and you start with one leg hooked under the knee and you follow your hand and it brings you across to where you're in this position.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
Okay.
that gets you up at least on your hands and your knees, and then
Yeah.
pushing up backwards like you were showing.
Yeah.
And also when you have to go down to the floor, like even here, if you're seated with you, again, with your wider base, with your feet wider, you could practice these just by going here. This would be a good,
Oh, that's a good idea.
you know,
Okay.
gateway into it.
Yeah,
Oh,
that would
yeah, I
definitely be
like
something I could
that.
do with the
Good
hip. I
idea.
do like that too, because that keeps me from being jumping on the floor right away.
And that's where you would start then. You would start
Yeah.
there and feeling the transfer of your body weight and then getting a sense of that so you know how much to push back because sometimes people push too and then they're falling backwards
Yeah.
or they don't apply enough weight on with their arms that then they're tumbling over forward and losing the control that way. So
Yeah.
that gives you a good sense of the kinesthetic awareness.
Yeah.
The trouble with falling is you never fall in a convenient location. You've got plenty of space.
I know.
And the ground is
In a
soft.
bathtub, it's very, very narrow and it's very
I know.
Yeah.
But I mean, like if you set yourself up right on a soft surface, like with a carpet, you put yourself around multiple pillows just in case, you know what I mean? And you just kind of
So you
start
can
there with
always
that little
crawl to
spot.
the couch.
Right. Right. That's true.
So we can
Ordinarily, you're
contact you.
not in a safe place.
Yeah.
What were you going to say, Veronica?
I was gonna say, we can also reach out to Jen and talk about maybe getting a mobility plan if there's something that we were looking to do. Okay.
Yeah, so Jess will give you the information in the end in the final email, and then you'll have my contact information, and then we could just start off with like just a phone conversation. I get to know you, you get to know me, I tell you what I have to offer, you see if you like it, and it's just as simple as that.
Yeah.
Well, I really did like the movements tonight. I'm definitely going to be
Yeah.
using those going forward for sure. So
Yeah.
Great.
Awesome. That's great.
All right.
Thank you so much, Jen. We really appreciate you
Thanks,
being
Jen.
here tonight.
Thank you. It was great to meet you guys. Hope to hear from you soon.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jen.
We'll,
Bye.
we'll wrap it all up real soon.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.